Namaste and welcome. I'm Julie Hill with Yoga Body. I help people eliminate pain and get back into doing the activities that they love, whether it be through therapeutic yoga or personal training or just a combination, bringing in healing and helping them feel how they move to make shifts and change and really come back into that place of allowing themselves to move purely, to have more stability and strength and efficiency in their movement. Today, I wanted to talk to you about having happy hamstrings. I hear from a lot of my students that their hamstrings are tight and they just can't seem to release them. So I'm bringing to you today 2 different things to play with, and then a little conversation from there, just depending on what happens. So we're going to find a place where you have access to a doorway. It could be kind of a wall in the kitchen that allows you to kind of slip through it, or doorway works great. And then also you're going to want to have like a blanket or a beach towel or some kind of towel. And we're going to go ahead and start here. So I'm going to use the towel first, just to stretch out the back of the leg. So come down onto your back, and I'm going to make sure I stay in a range that you can see me as I film this. But coming onto your back, and then you can just let the leg that you're not stretching go long. We're going to take this towel and open it up and put it around the bottom of the foot. So the foot goes into the center of the towel or blanket, and then we're going to take the front part of the towel and grab onto it. So kind of down from your toes there, and then grab around the back so it doesn't slide off altogether. And then we're just going to let the leg lift up. I want to start by bringing the knee above the hip. So it could be here. And then we just work, instead of having it way out there, we just want to bring it here. And then I'm going to start to work the front of this blanket down. So I'm holding onto the back, maybe with one hand, and then starting to pull on the front here. Allowing my foot to come into more of a flexion, a dorsiflexion. And just feeling that kind of pull through the back of my leg as I let my foot come into a little bit of a stretch. So I feel it mostly coming down my calves and then starting into my hamstrings. Just releasing the back of my leg. And I've let this other leg go totally heavy on the mat. And then taking a few breaths here just to allow everything to release. Feel the heaviness of your head, the ease in your breath. Really the heaviness of your hips. Sometimes people come into hamstring stretches and they somehow manage to let their hips lift way up. We want to keep the back of the pelvis really connected into the ground. Good. And then, so just to get a look at what my foot looks like without the towel, it's in this position. And I'm using that blanket or towel just to pull down. It's not straining. It's just using the force of the blanket. Good. And then we'll go to the other side. So letting that leg, I can't stretch this leg out because there's no room, but if you can, let it go straight. And we'll put this other foot in, again, adjusting it so that you have something to grab hold to in the front, and you can grab the back so it doesn't slip off. And then from there, we're just going to start to allow yourself to pull that foot down. Letting the ball of the foot and the toes come closer down, letting the back of the leg really open up. And you certainly can have a bend in the knee. So if you aren't able to straighten your leg here, keep the knee over the hip versus having it behind it. You can bring it a little further forward if it will, and then you can start to really give a little bit of stretch here. Be mindful that you're not straining or lifting up with your head. That's why we brought the towel in, so that we can grab further down so you can have your shoulders relaxed, the back of your head relaxed. Great. So that's one. And then the second one is to use this door frame. So from here, I can just come into a nice, easy, supported release for the back line of my leg without putting any pressure on my lower back. So I'm going to start by kind of scooching through the doorway. I'm going to bring my hip just next to this door frame. And then I'm going to lay down on my back. And I'm going to bring the leg closest to the door frame and just rest it there. Letting the other leg again go straight. And then just take a moment to kind of check in with how that feels. My head's heavy, my shoulders are relaxed. I just feel the natural curve in my lower back, so it's not pushing down hard on the floor. It's just kind of resting. There's a little bit of a soft, supple lift there. And I can feel the back of this leg starting to release. So you can stay here, or if you're like, well, I don't really feel a whole lot, you can bend this leg, come back up, and then we'll go ahead and scooch a little bit further past the door frame with our hip. So my hip is now really even with the door frame, and I'm right up against it. I'm going to come back onto my back, relax, and then take my leg up and just let it rest right on the door frame. Now I can feel a nice line release through the back of my leg, and I actually can feel a little bit of releasing through the top of my other leg. So just staying here for a number of breaths, allowing that tissue to soften. We're not going for a really big, intense release here. You want to start slowly so you can inch your way through the door frame. And then when you're ready, release, and you'll have to shift to the other side. I'm not going to film it here because you wouldn't see me at all. So, some thoughts about this. If you're working on releasing your hamstrings, and I like these because you're on your back, so it gives you a more feedback for how your spine is positioned, and if you're kind of curling through the back, rounding at your mid-back point, or coming from your lower back instead of from your hips. So that, being on your back, that provides a lot of really good information. The other thing I like about this is that using the door frame lets you be kind of in a restorative release for the hamstring. So you can just kind of rest there, the legs held by the wall, and you can take some easy breaths. If you find that you're using these, but it just keeps coming back, that tightness or a strain, or kind of feeling points right where it attaches, where your hamstrings would come up to meet your pelvis, then you're going to want to go ahead and look at doing something a little bit different. Maybe activating some other muscles to really allow those to come in and do their job so that your hamstrings aren't doing double duty. If you have any questions, contact me at yogabodylllc.com. Namaste.